All right, guys. So our next assignment is to create a pop art style Andy Warhol inspired print. Okay, so what we're looking at is something that looks like this, like his famous Marilyn Monroe print. And you are going to actually take a photograph of yourself, someone you know, or someone you know. I do not want you to use, you cannot use cartoon characters, you cannot use celebrities. You must use either yourself or somebody that you know. Okay, so what we're going to do is after I've taken my image, my photograph, I have it saved to my computer. I'm going to go ahead and go to Photopea and create a new project. I'm going to name it Pop Art. And I'm going to size it 8.5 by 11, and my DPI is going to be 72. If your computer can handle something higher than 72, like 300 DPI, then please, by all means, go ahead and make it that large. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to bring in my image. So I'm going to go to File, Open in Place, and I have it downloaded or saved to my computer, and it's right here. Okay, so now that I have it opened, what I want to do is make a selection of myself. Okay, so what I need to do is actually rasterize this layer, because when you bring an image into Photoshop or Photopea, it brings it in as a smart object. A smart object is a photograph that cannot be altered or um, manipulated. So we're just going to right click and go rasterize, and then that little box is gone, and now it's a regular photograph that can be edited. Okay, so what I want to do is make a selection, and I'm just going to cut myself out of the background. So I'm going to go ahead and you can try to use the object selection tool. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I click, let's see what it does. Yeah, it does nothing. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and go to the quick selection. This one usually works much better. I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger, probably almost as big as my head. I'm going to click right below my hairline, and hopefully you'll get a great selection first time. If not, then you'll have to do some adjusting and just click around your image. Okay, we're going to add a layer mask. So, oops. Uh, it will be okay if you get too much. We can always come back in with the minus key and deselect the parts that we don't want. All right, so that looks pretty good. Yours may take a little bit more finessing. It just depends on your image. And if you adjust your brush size to fit right around the selection that you need, you should get a good selection going. All right, now it's going to look like I have pointy ears. Okay, so now I'm going to add a layer mask. Once I have my selection made, I'm going to click on layer mask, and it's going to knock me out of that background. I'm just going to come in here on my layer mask with a brush. I'm going to switch it to the default color. So the letter D will switch it to black and white. The letter X will switch between black and white. Okay, so I'm going to add some area back in here that it missed. So while I'm on my layer mask, I can just come back in here and paint it on. And then come in here and clean that up. So depending on how much of a perfectionist you want to be on this, that's up to you. All right, so that looks pretty good. The next thing I want to do is actually add a new layer. Okay, so my new layer is going to go, I'm going to drag it between my background and my photograph, and I'm going to rename this colors. Okay, all right, so now what I want to do is actually go back to this image, and I'm going to have to change this to black and white before I start doing anything. So to do that, I'm going to go up here to Image, Adjustments, and I'm going to go to Threshold. Okay, so Threshold is going to pull out all the details or add in more details or completely remove everything. So if I go down to 0 or 1, it removes everything. If I go up to 255, it's going to add all of these details in and make it look like a silhouette. We're going to go somewhere in the middle. We want detail. Okay, detail's good. because we need to have something to reference. So depending on your image, what it looks like, where it was taken, the lighting that was used, things like that, is going to depend on what it looks like. You may want to reshoot your image if it's not looking how you think it should. Okay. All right. So once you have it how you like it set, you want it somewhere in the middle. Okay. So I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to go to my colors layer. And now I can start painting on. So I'm going to show you a trick. So if I pick a color, I need to choose a color palette or some colors, right? So if you look at Andy Warhol, so this one has got orange and the hair is yellow and the skin is pinkish. And then this one is crazy and this one is crazy, right? So what style are you going to do? So let's go with, let's see, let's make my face pink. We'll hit OK. And I'm going to start painting. But when I start painting, if you notice, nothing is happening, right? Like I can see it here and I can kind of see behind my ear, but if I come out here, then it's there. So what you need to do is go back up to your image layer, your thumbnail. So click on the thumbnail picture, not the layer mask. And you're going to change your setting to, let's see, let's try linear burn or linear light. And now I can, oh, it's actually, I started painting on my face. I don't want that. So let's go through and see which one is going to give us the best option. So overlay is not good. Soft light isn't good. One of these is going to work. All right, so linear burn, actually there it is. Linear burn looks like our best choice. So go ahead and change the blend mode of your thumbnail image to linear burn. And then, oops, make sure you go back down to your colors layer. And now you can continue painting on. And I painted outside, right? Like I painted that purple. So I'll show you how we can fix that. So I'm going to come in here and just kind of estimate where my face would end. And then I'll come down here and paint this section. Now, because I'm wearing a darker shirt, I don't have a lot to paint. So for this project, you might want to choose a lighter shirt, maybe a white. Okay, so I have this selection out here that I want to get rid of. I can add a layer mask and use my brush tool. If I set it to black, X on the keyboard will switch between black and white. I can come in here and just paint that away. Okay, so we'll do that. If you make a mistake and you go outside, you paint outside the lines, it's okay. All right, so, and then just kind of come in here and clean it up a little bit. It's kind of bumpy because the mouse or the brush was set, the hardness of the brush is set to 100. So if you use a softer brush, you're going to get a softer effect around the edges. But remember, this is pop art, so it should be fun. All right, so let's see if we can get this piece right here. All right, perfect. So it's kind of weird up here, so I'd come back in here and fix this. Okay, so with that done, I don't want my brush too soft. If it's too soft, then it's going to look like it was a painterly effect, and I don't really want that. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I'm going to come in here and I can change the color on my glasses, inside my glasses. So let's go ahead and choose a different color for that. So we've got pink. Let's go with the blue. The lighter blue, like this one. All right, so on my colors thumbnail, I'm going to come in here and just paint in my glasses. All right, so do you see how it's got that blurry effect? I don't want that. That's because I changed the softness of my brush. So I'm going to bring it back up to about 80. And now I should be able to come back in and paint. All right, so to depending on how much of a perfectionist you are, how steady your hand is. If you don't have, obviously not everybody has glasses, so, but because I needed some more detail because of what I'm wearing today, I knew that I would need something to fill in. So you could either do, if you want, you could do eyeshadow, you could change the color of your eyelids, you could change the color of your eyes if you're not wearing glasses. You can do your teeth if you want to. Let's see, let's go with orange. All right, so let's do my teeth. We'll do my teeth orange. And my hand is not steady, so I'm just going to paint a line. All right, so obviously I would do this more carefully. Man. Okay, so there we go. All right, so if I zoom out, this is, oh, I guess I should get my arms. Okay, so to get my arms, I'm gonna have to go back into my color picker and choose this color purple again. So if I click and then hit OK, now it's back and I can increase my brush size and paint on my arms. And it's going to go on the outside. That's okay. We're going to do a layer mask or a selection around the edge in a second here. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is change the color of the background. So our background layer is locked, so we're going to unlock it by clicking on the lock key or the lock button. And then we're going to choose a color for our background. So actually, let's go to adjustment layer down here at the bottom, and we're going to go to color fill. And we can change this color by clicking. And we're going to go ahead and go. Actually, you know what? Let's not do a color fill. Let's do the paint bucket tool. All right, so what we're going to do is choose a color for our background. All right, so now that I've chosen my color, what I need to do is actually draw out a selection while I'm on my background layer. I'm going to draw out, let's see, let's go from right about here. I'm just going to kind of draw out, let's see, let's go with that. All right, and now I'm going to go to my color, go to my paint bucket tool, and drop that paint right in there, and it's going to fill that section in. Okay, so now that I have that done, now we're going to put all of these three layers into a folder. All right, so we're going to click on the first layer, hold shift, and click on the last layer, and then we're going to click on the folder. Okay, so that groups everything together in a folder. So the next thing you want to do is we are going to go ahead and deselect, right? So we still have this area selected. So we're going to go Control D to deselect. And then what we need to do is get rid of this excess area around the outside. So what we're going to do is go ahead and go to Rectangle, select again. And I'm going to select right on the inside of my first selection, just like this. And I'm going to add a layer mask to this entire folder. So when I add a layer mask, it's going to hide those imperfections that were on the outside. Okay, so that's how you get rid of that excess around the outside. The next thing you want to do is we are going to actually uncheck the transform control button. Okay, and when we do that, that allows us to move our object freely around the artboard. Okay, so we are going to resize it a little bit. So mine is still kind of too big. So I'm going to go back to transform controls and kind of shrink it down just a little bit. So holding shift, I'm going to pull in from the corners and drag in just a little. And let's see. how that's going to look. So that should be okay. We'll see once I start making my duplicate layers. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go back to my move tool, and I'm going to uncheck that button again, and I'm going to make 3 copies of this folder. So I want a total of 4 copies. So Control J, I'm going to do that 3 times, and now I have 4 copies. So let's go to this second, or this folder copy 1, and I'm going to move it over to the side and just place it right there, and just kind of nudge it over with the move tool. And I'm going to go ahead and select these 2 right here. Actually, yeah, let's go ahead and select those 2 and drag them up to the top up here and place them right about there. And you're going to have to line them up. And then you're going to go ahead and select that last one, the copy 3, which should be underneath this one, and place it right there. All right, so now what you're going to do is you're going to come back in here. Let me hide this. You're going to come back in here and you're going to open up each folder, and you're going to go back to the colors layer. Make sure you're on the thumbnail. Okay, so this one is going to be this image right here. And I'm going to just change my colors, right? So for my background, I will change that background color. Let's see what happens. I'm not sure what's going to happen when I do this, so let's see. So let's choose a different color. Let's go with all right, and then I'm going to go to my paint bucket tool and drop it on there and see what happens. All right, perfect. So it dropped it exactly where I needed it, and then I'm going to go to my colors and come in, and you're just going to repaint on and change your color palette. Let's see, let's go with that one. I'm going to go to my paintbrush tool and just repaint on and repeat this process for the other 3. So just like you did at the very beginning, you're just going to paint on your entire image. So you may have to, you may have some sections that you'll have to make your brush small and zoom in really close to go out on the edge. I do not have a steady hand, so this takes time for me. Remember, you can always add or work on that layer mask if you need to. Over here, I still have that layer mask going on, so I can switch between black and white. Come in here and clean it up if I have to. Add or remove sections. You can zoom in as close as you need to. I probably took too much off of my face. Okay, but you get the point. So you're coming in here and you're going to clean it up. And you repeat this process. So you change the color for your teeth and for your glasses. So everything that you painted on that first one, you want to paint again on your second one. All right. So if I come in here, make sure that you're on the thumbnail of your image, and you come in here and paint. And again, depending on if you're a perfectionist, how precise you're going to get. And I'm just going to finish. Oh, actually, yeah, I'm just going to finish up this one and then just show you what it looks like side by side next to the other, the first one. And you'll repeat that process for all 4 of your images. Okay, so obviously, oh, I need to get my face or my neck and my arms. So again, I need to go back to the color picker, click on that first yellow color that I used, come in here and paint that. And again, depending on how much color you want on your photograph, um, think about the color of shirt that you're wearing. Think about um, the lighting, okay? You don't want it too bright. All right, so that is essentially what it's going to look like. So there's 1 and 2, and then you'll repeat the process for 3 and 4. Okay, so you just go to that color thumbnail and change your background color and repaint on your images. And then what you're going to do is you are going to the JPEG file and turn in the JPEG file to Classroom. All right, I don't need to see the PSD file, just the JPEG. But if you don't have time to complete this in one setting, then of course you are going to have to save the PSD file and save it to your Google Drive. That way you can get it off your Chromebook and it doesn't take up space, and you can come back to edit it when you have more time.